Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. If you haven't called your brother or your sister today, call them. Call your mom and dad. Call your grandparents. Hey, we're happy to have Jake Bruner, honorable mention all-conference player from the number one team in the country, College Idaho. Jake played all 4 years for the Yotes, and he scored more than 500 points, pulled down over 500 rebounds. Jake was a key member of the Yotes this season. Many, including myself, considered this College Idaho's best team ever. Jake is one of the toughest guys in the Cascade Conference. Jake, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Jake, you grew up in Cottonwood, Idaho. You played basketball at Prairie High School. You were Division 1A All-State. Talk about your high school experience.
Cottonwood's a small town, so I graduated with a class of about 30, I think it was. Played football, basketball, and baseball in high school, and was lucky enough to be a part of some good teams in high school. We won a state title in football, a state title in baseball, and then 2 in basketball. And my dad was actually the coach of the basketball and the football team. So I kind of grew up around sports all my life. But, yeah, it was funny because Ivory on our team actually played in the same conference as I did, too. So we had some good battles in high school.
So you were a multi-sport athlete. What made you decide basketball was the game you wanted to play in college?
I was looking at schools for football and basketball, had a few different schools talking to me, and then ended up going on a visit to College of Idaho and kind of fell in love with the place. I'd known Colby Blaine, who was the assistant at the time, from Idaho Select, which is an AAU program out of Boise, and he was a coach there, and I had played there for 4 years, so we had a little bit of a relationship. So then when I came down to College of Idaho, I kind of fell in love with it, the program and what they were all about, and then the school as well is just a great school for what I wanted it to be pre-med, and they had a great reputation for that. So that was a big reason in me choosing College of Idaho as well.
So you mentioned that when you were in high school, Ivory Miles Williams, who ended up eventually being your teammate at College of Idaho, he was in the same conference you were saying. So talk about some of those battles you had against him in high school.
Yeah, so it's funny. We always ended up playing each other at least 3 times because we were 2 of the better teams in our league. And so we'd play 2 times in the regular season, then we'd end up playing in the district championship usually. And then one year we actually ended up playing them 4 times. We played them in the state championship as well. So we've had some good battles, him and his brother who played there. We got the better of him in the state title, though, that year.
Did you remind him of that?
Yeah, I have to.
So when you were a year ahead of him, so you went to College Idaho, and then you found out that, were you instrumental in alerting the coaches to him? Did they already know about him? Talk about when you found out he was going to come there as well.
Yeah, so they didn't really use me in the recruiting process for him too much, but I think they knew about him because he also played Idaho Select for a couple years.
Okay.
But I was super excited when I found out he was coming because I just knew how good of a competitor he was, how tough he was, and so I was excited to have another small-town guy there at the college with me.
And there's a couple of guys in LC State. I know Jackson Hughes. You mentioned somebody else that plays over that was in your conference or in your league there at LC State.
Yeah, Travis Yenner. He went to Masters in California.
Oh, he was player of the year, wasn't he?
His first.
No, I mean his senior year in high school. Your senior year.
Oh yeah, he was my senior year. He was the player of the year in the state.
So he went to Masters and then eventually transferred over to LC State, Lewis Clark State.
Yeah, he went to Masters. Yeah, and then he went to LC, and he's a really good player, 4-man that can shoot the heck out of the ball. But we played him and Jackson Hughes in state my junior year, and ended up beating them. So there was some pretty good talent in the small high school basketball in Idaho.
Yeah, because at that small division, so you mentioned Jackson Hughes. He went over to Corbin and then went to Lewis Clark State, LC State, when the coaching change happened there. He's having a heck of a year at LC State as well. I think he was all league, or I'm trying to remember now. But
yeah,
and then yourself at College Idaho. So yeah, a lot of good talent came out of that division that year. You talked about, kind of what drew you to College of Idaho. I'm still curious what drew you to basketball versus football.
Yeah, so it just seemed I was looking for the place that seemed like a better fit for me, and the College of Idaho had such a close knit community, and I actually went to go watch the game, and it was amazing the community support that the College of Idaho had and still has. I mean, our fans are some of the best in the state,
Absolutely.
some of the best in the country, and so that really drew me in. And then just the team seemed so close, and I think that's been a huge part of the College of Idaho's success is that the team chemistry has always been so close, and that's something I noticed when I was at the college. And then, of course, Coach G and Colby Blaine are two amazing coaches, great guys, and so they're also a big part in me making the decision.
Halfway, you mentioned Coach Garson. Halfway through your career there at College Idaho, Coach Garson got a job at Santa Clara. The same day Colby Blaine was promoted to head coach. Talk about that transition.
Yeah, it happened pretty fast. It was like Coach Garson came in the locker room and told us that he was going to be leaving, and we were all super bummed. But like that same day, we found out that, I think it was the same day, we found out that Colby was going to be our new head coach. And so while we were sad, we were also pretty excited that we were going to have one of our guys still at the helm. And the transition really wasn't difficult at all because Blaine had been in the program, so he wasn't going to change anything too crazy. And so we really didn't skip a beat, I don't think, as some coaching changes, the team might have to take a little time to get used to the new coaching style, but we really didn't skip a beat with Blaine's, and we pretty much stuck with the same system.
And a lot of you guys had experience with Colby Blaine through, was it Idaho Select?
Yeah, Idaho Select. So yeah, we have like a few guys from Idaho Select. And I know me and Ivory played on the team, and then Justin Saunders, who was there, played on the team, and there's a few other guys on the team that played Idaho Select. So, and we have most of our guys are from Idaho, so Blaine's been connected to most of us.
You mentioned the Idaho connection. That's something that I know at College Idaho they're really proud of. Also, legacy driven. Tell me what legacy driven means to you.
Yeah, so basically, it's kind of what Colby's been preaching the last couple of years, but what it means to me is that everything's not just about X's and O's and winning games and about basketball. It's about making an impact on the lives of other people. And so that's something we've been really focused on as a program, kind of interacting with the community and community service and that kind of thing.
Can you give me an example of some of the things you've done within the community?
Yeah, so last year we went to the VA and helped out there, and then some of us also went to the Children's Hospital down in Boise to hang out with some of the kids who had cancer and that kind of stuff. And we always go out every year to the Hope House or have them come over, which the Hope House is it's a place for kids who've gone through failed adoptions. They have about, I don't know how many kids over there, but they bring about 20 out to College of Idaho every year, and we have just a basketball camp for them, stuff like that.
Oh, that's pretty cool. You should be very proud of that.
It's a fun time getting to hang with those kids.
You go to College Idaho. You had, an amazing 4 years. You should be really proud. So your freshman year, you get out to the tournament. Played it, I think it was the last one at Branson. You get to the round of 16, or you lose. You get to the round of 16, and you lose to the eventual national champion, Union. It was a very close game, 1 point game. I know you remember this better than I do, but Zuba Zaretta had a potential game winner, just a short little 15-footer that rolled off at the buzzer. You played 20 minutes in that game. How much did that experience as a freshman kind of steel you up and get you ready for those next 3 years?
I think it was big confidence builder for me because I felt like the coaches trusted me enough to have me out there for 20 minutes as a freshman, and then also the players around me, the seniors like Manny and Shuby and Joey Nebaker. I felt like they all trusted me out there too. So my role out there as a freshman was pretty much just rebound and defend, which it's kind of always been that. But so I didn't have too much pressure on me out there. But yeah, I think it was a huge confidence builder just to know that the team trusted me and that I was able to play with the best talent in the country at the NAIA level, which was a union that year.
The next two seasons, Jake, you guys get to the Final Four, your sophomore and your junior season, losing to St. Francis your sophomore year and then Oregon Tech your junior year. How frustrating was it to stall at that level 2 years in a row?
Yeah, it was pretty heartbreaking. The first year was a little different because, at least from my point of view, it was kind of like when we were in the Final Four, it's like, wow, I just can't believe this is happening. We're in the Final Four, like we're one of the top 4 teams in the NAIA right now, and we lost, and it was heartbreaking. But the second year was even more heartbreaking because we're like, okay, we know we're supposed to be here. We've been here before, been in the Final Four. This is our chance to redeem ourselves from last year, and it didn't end up that way. But so it was pretty heartbreaking the second year.
How determined were you this year going into that tournament?
Yeah, I mean, I think we were all very confident going into the tournament this year, especially us returners. Like I said, the year before we felt like we'd belong there, and this year even more we felt like we could do some big things in the tournament, and that we felt like we were one of the best teams in the tournament. And so we were very confident this year, and knowing that we had been to 2 Final Fours, we weren't shying away from that conversation all year. We let it be known from day one within the team that, you know, our goal was to get to the championship game this year, and we all thought it was a goal that we could obtain. But unfortunately, the tournament ended, and we weren't given the chance to get there this year. But
so you accomplished something in the Cascade Conference that never been done. Everybody said it couldn't be done. You went 20-0. And then you also won the Cascade Conference Championship. You basically ran the table. How proud are you of that?
Super, super proud. It's just knowing all the great teams that I've played against in my 4 years in the Cascade Conference and the good teams that I've been a part of in my 4 years, knowing that, and then just knowing the history of the Cascade Conference, knowing all the great teams and players. To know that we were the first team and only team so far that's been able to accomplish that feat it's a pretty good feeling, and I think it's a big confidence booster for our team next year.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, the virus can take away your opportunity to play for a national championship, but nobody can take away that perfect season in conference play. Nobody can ever take that from you.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the things we talked about as a team, just knowing that, you know, we weren't given a chance to compete for a championship, but we did all we could this year. That should be enough for us.
So, Jake, College of Idaho is known as a defensive team. That's the trademark, quite often holding teams to 50 points or less. What is the key to the College of Idaho defense?
As far as, like, in general, I think a big key to our defense being so successful is just us being able to make adjustments on the fly. Wayne always preaches how important adjustments are, and it's true. Like, you know, we'll play teams differently. Sometimes we'll take the corner away, the passing lane to the corner on our bumps if a team's really killing us from the corner, or our wings will stay longer on bumps if teams are shooting between the bumps, or we'll go to man. Like for OIT, we played man every game this year. And so it's just little things like that. We'll go 1-3-1 every now and then. So just knowing that we have all that in our back pocket I think is a huge key for us.
So would you say the defensive success is X's and O's or a culture and determination?
I think it's a bit of both. I think our determination to try to be the best defensive team in the country, that's one of the things we strive for. every year is to be the best defense in the country. So we have a lot of pride in our defense, and we kind of know ourselves as a defensive team. And so when that's your identity, you take a lot of pride in it and you work harder for it. So I think that's a big part of it, and that part being our culture. But then X's and O's, like knowing how to adjust and having guys that know how to play the zone, know how to play the passing lanes. Like Talon Pinckney gets a ton of deflections every game. He gets about 5 deflections, it feels like, in the zone. And so just to make it hard on teams, just guys like that who know how to play and know how to make adjustments is also a big part. So I'd say it's about 50-50.
So in the Cascade Conference, there's Multnomah University plays in the Cascade Conference. They have probably the most unique offense in the NAI. They shoot early in the shot clock. They generally shoot a 3.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of how many threes they'll shoot in a night, but they can get really hot, and especially Justin Martin the last couple of years. When you guys being a defensive team, what was your defensive strategy against that?
Against Multnomah, last year we tried to do a diamond in one against them, and we tried to we manned up Justin Martin, and when we did that at Multnomah, it was a very close game, and we barely pulled that one out. But so this year we decided to go 2-3, and how we game planned for it was we knew they were going to shoot deep, so we had to take a few more steps outside the 3-point line on certain players like Justin Martin. And then we also knew that they would shoot in between our bumps. So they were one of the teams where the top guard would bump our wings down, and so our wings would stay longer and make sure not to leave early because we knew that they would shoot there. And our big thing was contest every shot and make it as hard as possible.
Yeah, for people outside the Cascade Conference, Justin Martin would score, I don't know what his average was, but it wasn't unusual for him to score over 40, and he scored over 70 twice. And he would shoot a lot of times from, I call it the volleyball line, and he would shoot over you too. And if he was off, he was off. He would, he wouldn't hit. But if he was on, he would shoot over you. And I think he lit up Northwest Christian. I think it was this year. Last year it was Warner Pacific. I was at that Warner Pacific game when he scored. I think he scored 71 or 73 or something. I was sitting next to a friend of mine, CT, who does a show with me sometimes. And I said, I just keep letting him shoot those because he was shooting from, 10 feet across half court. And he just kept making them, and he just kept making them. And they ended up beating Warner Pacific in overtime. Anyway, when he would hit, it was pretty amazing. But
yeah,
I was just curious.
He's insane. You expect him to miss eventually, but when he gets hot, he's one of the harder players to stop in the conference, I would say.
Yeah, and it was it was kind of a digital thing, right? He was either on or he'd struggle, and once he got going though, he was hard to stop. Jake,
for sure.
What are one or two of the most exciting games you played in the Cascade Conference in your career?
Games within the conference?
Yeah, or just what are some of the most exciting games you were a part of? Well,
outside the conference, our rivalry with the Northwest Nazarene University, NNU, which is right there in Nampa, those are always, we play them twice a year, and those are always fun games. They're a NCAA Division II team.
Yes.
The crowds for those ones are always insane. And then also, I think our cornerstone game last year that went into overtime was crazy. What was the guy's?
Sam Vanderslice.
Their big guy's name.
Yeah, Sam Vanderslice.
He might have, no, was it Vanderslice? Yeah. He had like 40 on us that night, and we ended up somehow getting the win in overtime against them. And then my sophomore year, we played Dakota Wesleyan, and Roosevelt Adams, who was a senior that year, hit a crazy shot for us to win. We were down big with like 4 minutes to go and somehow came back. So those were two exciting games. But within the conference, I think the Southern game this year was crazy at home, which we somehow pulled off. We had no business winning that game and somehow did it. Our games against OIT are always fun, just because of the great respect between the both teams, and then just how much talent they have. those are always fun ones. But
Where's your favorite place to play in the Cascade Conference? Not
favorite
Caldwell.
place to play. Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, OIT is always fun, just because OIT and Southern are both always fun because they've always been really competitive. But that drive is the worst drive in our conference. For us, anyways, the worst road trip.
That's a bad trip.
Yeah. Northwest is a tough place to play.
Yeah, I
would like playing at Corbin.
Why Corbin? That's interesting. That's a big open gym.
I just liked their gym. I don't know. I always ended up shooting better at their gym too, but so that might just be a little biased.
Okay, that's it. It seems like a fairly generic gym. A lot of people, when I ask them, they bring up Northwest. Northwest is that everybody talks about the tight confines. It's loud. They always get a good crowd in there.
Yeah.
I've never seen it not packed. Now that might mean 250 people, but it's really loud in there.
It's still loud. Yeah.
And then, hey, what about your games at Eastern? I mean, they give you quite the rousing over there, don't they?
Yeah, their crowds are usually pretty good over there in that gym. It's not huge, but it's a pretty nice gym. Yeah, that's a fun place to play.
So you mentioned, the long bus rides. Do you think it hurt or helped your team to be on that bus all those hours?
I don't think it hurt us at all. You get pretty tired of them after a while. Like my junior year, I was sick of making the road trip over to Klamath Falls or going all the way up to Seattle. But by my senior year, it was kind of like, oh wow, this is my last road trip here. I think it actually helps you, or helps us. It helps our team, I think, because just the camaraderie you can build on those long bus trips, and just being able to. It's so easy to get to know guys in there because you're stuck together. So I think that's one of the best places to build the team's camaraderie, and I think it ends up helping our team chemistry every year.
But it's you guys definitely have long bus rides. There's no doubt about that. Hey, who is the tough? You mentioned you're a rebounder and defender. Who is the toughest guy in the conference for you to go up against and guard?
That's a tough question for a couple reasons. Because we're in a really good conference, and also we play zone most of the time. So
yeah,
it's usually you don't feel like. I mean, it's a matchup zone, so you are kind of in man. But I would say it was always more difficult for me when I got onto quicker guards because I'm not the quickest guy out there on the court. But like whenever I got switched on to guys like Justin Martin or Mitch Fink, it was always a little more difficult. But inside, I think Huss Ford for Northwest was always very difficult to guard.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. And usually, you get him to miss once, but he somehow comes up with his own rebound and puts it back in. So, yeah, he was pretty difficult to guard.
He's incredibly fast on, I call it the second hop. When he'll go up, he'll shoot, like you say. He's up in he just is back up in the air almost instantaneously. I asked Tate Hoffman this same question. You played him. Does Hussein Ford ever get tired?
I don't know. It doesn't seem like it. He plays most of the game, and then especially at the end of the year when they had like 6 or 7 guys on the roster playing, he would never go out. And so, yeah, you wonder that. And he has a high motor. And
yeah, well, what always amazed me, not only did he play long minutes, but he was playing at a high pace. He just seemed to never slow down.
Yeah, I don't think he gets tired.
Yeah, he was. I saw him so many times miss. You mentioned 1 or 2 shots, and he just would keep getting his own rebound until it was amazing. He was big. He's big, but he's not, a giant. He's just quick.
Yeah, and I think it's that high motor that he has that makes him very difficult to guard. Like you said, he just gets his own rebound, and then as you contest that shot and turn around to get the rebound, he's already got the rebound and going back up with it. So
you guys went out to the tournament this year very confident, as you should have been. You're ranked number one in the nation, number one seed, and you played Northwestern, a good team. You know, I know they were number 8, but they were a very, very good team. You struggled a little bit offensively, but you held them to 50 points. Talk about that game.
Yeah, they were a good team. They had a crowd too, which actually sometimes can make those games better because sometimes the atmosphere is not that good when you're at the national tournament just because fans don't travel that well. But they had a great fan base there, so the atmosphere was great. But they had some good stuff against us that they were running at the beginning and getting good looks from 3. But we just, like I said, we make adjustments all the time. So we just made adjustments to what they were doing and ended up slowing them down as that first half started to wind down, and then second half kind of kept them in check. They're a good team, though.
Did they surprise you at all?
I don't think they surprised us. I think we knew that they had however long to a week or 2 to prepare for our zone, and we knew they were going to come out with something that, you know, what at least they thought would get them a good look, and they did end up having stuff that got them good looks. So I don't think it surprised us. You know, they were an 8 seed, like you said, but every team at the national tournament is a good team. There's no bad teams in the national tournament, and that's something that we reminded the new guys, you know, like these guys are going to give us a fight because they made it to the national tournament for a reason. Absolutely.
So you won that game, you got into the Sweet 16, and then, you know, talk about the moment you found out no more basketball.
Yeah, it was Thursday, and so that was our day off. It was our day off after the day we played, and we were headed to lunch, and after lunch we were going to go and watch film on IU Kokomo and then go to a practice right after that and prepare for them. And so we were in the vans on the way to lunch, and our assistant coach Shelby's in the back of our van, and he says to Colby Blaine, he says, "Blaine, did you see that?" And then Blaine turns down the music and he's like, "Yeah," and tells us all that the tournament was canceled. And they found out on Twitter, I think it was, which is kind of crazy to me. But it didn't sink in, I don't think, for a while. And there's kind of a feeling in the van like, oh, well, they say that, but I don't think it's actually canceled. Like they'll start it back up again and we'll be fine. But then like as the hours went on and there was no more information, we were just at lunch, it was kind of an eerie feeling, and it's weird to play your last game and not know it was your last game. I think was the weirdest part until the day after you played it.
Yeah. Has it sunk in?
It's sunk in, I think, now, but I think it's definitely harder when you don't get that closure of, you know, usually when your last game, like I said, you know it's your last game, whether it's at the end of the game and you're losing or, you know, you've won the championship. So it was a weird feeling knowing that my last game playing competitive basketball, I played it and didn't know it until the day later. But, yeah, it's kind of started to sink in now, and I've just been able to reminisce on kind of the good memories of this season.
So, Jake, what's after College of Idaho? What are you set to graduate? Tell us what you majored in. Tell us what your plans are.
Yeah, so I'll graduate this year, and I majored in biomedical sciences. So I was pre-med, and so I'll take a year off and I'll shadow some doctors. Hopefully soon. Hopefully this virus will clear up so I can shadow some more doctors, and I'll apply for medical school this summer and hopefully get into medical school and then start that next journey of my life.
Is that the typical process to finish your 4-year and then shadow? And
it's more, a lot of people will take a year off in between their undergrad year and medical school, but it just varies. But yeah, a lot of people will take that year off and kind of strengthen their resume and apply that.
Oh, okay.
Summer.
Okay. Well, certainly wish you the best of luck with that. I teased you a little bit before we came on, but I understand that you're a fairly sharp guy. I'm sure you'll be just fine. You had a great career at College of Idaho. You know, you should be very proud of that. I enjoyed watching you. I want to thank you for coming on and sharing your story.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's good talking to you.